Welcome to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business in small town rural America. I'm Jennifer Olson, and I'm the Director of Business Development for the City of Marion.
And I'm Deb Barnett, Executive Director of Southern Illinois Now. It's a 17-county economic development initiative right here in Southern Illinois.
And I'm Russ Williams. I'm Director of EThOs. We're a small business incubator, co-working spaces, training and development right across the street from our location here at Little Nashville Cafe at the Citadel building. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are live at the Little Nashville Cafe on Tower Square Plaza. Yes, we are. As you heard, we have a live audience. We're so thankful that they joined us tonight for this special edition. We also want to thank all of our viewers and listeners for the Small Town Big Business podcast. And thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. This is our third year for the podcast. So I want to thank Arcadia Wealth Group, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, the Swinford Media Group, the Watermark Auto Group Foundation, and our producers at Union Street Arts.
And I'd like to let you know that we are on every popular podcast app that you can think of: Spotify, Podbean, Apple, you name it, we're there. We're also on YouTube if you want to see the video component to the audio. Not while you're driving, of course, that would be bad. But wherever you watch us or listen to us, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. Please do yourself a favor, go back and listen to some of the old gems that are out there. And if you like what we're doing, recommend us to a friend or give us a rate and review so we can stay extra popular.
Yes, and if you're joining us for the first time, what we do on Small Town Big Business is we interview successful business owners and founders about how and why they're so successful in small towns like right here in Marion, Illinois, and throughout Southern Illinois and across the Midwest. And tonight we not only have this very, very special place that we're in, this venue, but we have the owner of the Little Nashville Cafe. So Aaron, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so we are so excited to be here with our live audience, and what a beautiful venue that we have here. Why don't you take us back and tell us a little bit just about you, and then we'll jump into how Little Nashville came about.
Sure. I probably should start not with who I am, but who I was, and that'll all kind of tie into this, because 20 years ago, maybe 25, I don't know. That number keeps growing, but I wouldn't have thought I would have been here doing this, because I thought I would be in Nashville or on a stage somewhere. And so it really starts with that being a passion of mine growing up. Like a lot of people in music, especially in country music, I started playing in churches. My family traveled the Midwest as a Southern gospel band. So my kids now, we travel around playing baseball, but I traveled around playing at every mother-daughter banquet at every United Methodist church in about a 3-state radius.
A lot of good practice.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, by the time I was 14, I'd probably played 1,000 times, and that it was just a big leg up in the music world, and so did that. Graduated from Trico High School. I see some you guys SIU people. For those of you who are not watching, students. We've got SIU students here with us. Any Trico grads? All right, none of them are from Trico. I graduated with like 65 people, so it's not surprising. But so graduated, and I would say to some degree dabbled at school. At first I was in a computer networking program because I wanted to leave the area and pursue music. And that was back then a really quick path to do that. And then the tech market crashed the fall of my freshman year of college. And so like a long and winding road, but from here, and did music for a long time, and later went to SIU a couple of times, wound up with an MBA, so went through the business program there. I don't know if you guys are business students, but...
They are. So for those listening, we have SIU students in the audience tonight. I don't know if we mentioned that. So.
Yep, so go Dogs.
Yeah.
A couple of... You guys might not have heard it on the audio, but there was a woof from over there. Yeah, and so over time, I was always able to kind of... My parents were educators, so they always stressed that I needed an education, and kept me probably in school when I wouldn't have been otherwise. So I wound up wanting to leave and do music, but with a college degree, which turned out, as I sit here at 42 years old, pretty handy. And as I have kids of my own, I would certainly try and, not that a college degree is the be all end all, but they kept me grounded in a particular way, is probably the better way to put it, in knowing that, that the magic code of music or those kinds of things, it doesn't get unlocked for everybody. And so I wound up kind of on my feet when I realized that wasn't going to be the path for me. But at some point I have to hit pause so you can ask the next question. I can transition into how this place came to be. So I'm going to do that now.
So how long did you pursue music?
A long time, and had some really good memories. Had it's funny, you talk about this a business podcast. I had somebody very early on tell me to define what success is, because I know people who actually, we had a girl who played here on the stage that we're on a couple nights ago, who I wrote with when I was writing for a publishing company in Nashville, and she's on The Voice right now. She's on Team Reba, but people who have some crazy successful stories in the eyes of most, but if her vision of success is selling 1 million records, so many aspiring artists would look and say, look at the success that she's had, and she might look and say, it's not successful. The first time I played the Bluebird, which is an iconic music venue in Nashville, a girl named Emily Shackleton was the main person at the end of the night, and she had written a bunch of songs for Sarah Evans, and she had written, did anybody here watch the TV show Nashville? Mm-hmm. All right, so Juliet Barnes, the fake character in there, had this hit song, and she wrote that song. So the fake hit song in the movie Nashville, there was a little Q&A that she did. It's my first time playing at the Bluebird, and somebody was like, well, what's something that you wish had happened? And she clearly was regretful or sad that no one had ever released any of her songs as a single. And I'm sitting there thinking, as a songwriter, I would do anything to be in your shoes. Mm-hmm. And yet she was looking at the next person down the road and wishing, or would do anything to be in their shoes. And so I've learned that copy pastes over to business in a lot of interesting ways. In fact, you said at the beginning of this, successful people at business, and there's part of me that wonders even what this podcast defines as success. Am I allowed to ask you guys questions?
Sure.
Can this just be a conversation? So what is success?
So I still have some part of me that wants to say there is the monetary measurement, but probably less so than younger me would have said, because I feel like now it's more, do you make enough to at least pay your bills and put some back, and less about the more lofty things. But the older I get, the transition that's happening is success is more about two things. One, leaving the world better than I found it in whatever way that I possibly can. And two, more time with my family. Mm-hmm. You don't get it back.
And I like that. Because it's weird for me also, for people who aren't, I guess, listening chronologically, the guy who was up here before, everyone in America has heard of a brand that he created. Mm-hmm. And my guess is that the SIU students who are from 15 minutes down the road have never heard of this place. And so you've got these weird scales of what is success. So anyhow, I'll wrap that up and try and tie it into a business thing and simply say that I enjoyed what I did in music. I wish I had a better feel for what I would have called success, but I wrote for some publishing companies, had some songs in things that went around the world, wrote for some Christian publishers, and had one song that was in a Christmas thing that sold 1 million copies that Travis Cottrell ended up doing. But if you look in it, my name's in there, and that's kind of neat. And at 42, I'm able to look back a lot more fondly than the moments that I was in it, and wishing that it wasn't Travis Cottrell's name on the front of the thing, that my name was a little bit in, but was mine on the front. because I think back then I would have seen that as success. And now you get a little older and that term changes a little bit.
Well, I think you certainly are using your gifts. That's how I would define success, is that if you're using your gifts, if someone's using your gifts in order to create good. But you've done more than just music before you created this space. You were also teaching.
Yes, so that's where I told you my parents were educators, and when I didn't know what I wanted to do, I followed in the family.
I had the same parents. Yeah, exactly.
And so, but it was a great thing. I tried to get a degree just in history, and I was a few classes shy of doing the education route. And I think my mom told me, no offense if you guys have one of these, but if I wanted to find out what you can do with an undergraduate degree in history, I could ask my next server at Steak and Shake. It was something like that. Not to knock academia, but what basically the question was, well, what can I do with that? How could I go out and actually make a living? And so education really served me well. I enjoyed doing it. I knew that it wasn't a long-term thing for me, but it was a fun window in my life, and it allowed me, when I left college, to get employed and do something.
Yeah.
And you do have a day job in addition to this.
I do. So I've been fortunate to be able to start a construction company. In fact, the city hall that you were just mentioning, we did the renovation to, but that's what's allowed me to do this, because as the timeline goes on, I hung up pursuing music at that level, but it's not it's not a transactional thing where I did music because I wanted success. I loved music and wanted to keep doing that. And after I guess a bit of a pause, as kids and life, and and I'm not gonna make $1 million doing this. You recalibrate into more of a normal life. But I've been fortunate to be able to be in a position then to bring that love of mine back into a real tangible thing here in my town.
I think one of my favorite times here at Little Nashville, and certainly love all the artists that come through, but I was sitting right over here against the windows, and again, the artist was great, but I loved watching you watch what was happening all around. And you just looked like a proud father that was watching your baby take its first steps. And so I want to go back to, how did Little Nashville come about? Was it always a dream of yours, or how did it sort of evolve?
So I guess when I look back, there were always little threads of it, but it was never, if you would have asked me even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said this would be a thing. It really started because I owned the building and had tenants here, and was asked by former co-host of this enterprise, Allison Hassler, what would I do when COVID hit, if it started knocking them out? And I said, and this probably was the real picture in my head, because I still know a lot of people who write in Nashville. I know the people who wrote for the publishers that I wrote with, and I always thought it'd be kind of fun, because we're only 3 hours at most from Nashville here, to just bring them up and have kind of a hole in the wall kind of thing that was really niche and kind of fun. And so I told her that, and I guess to get into the weeds a little bit on our community, the next day, the way I remember it, I look at my phone, and so this was really because Allison worked for the city, and I said, I've always had this idea, but I remember saying, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time to do that right now. And the next day, I looked down at my phone, and our mayor is calling me, and it was where are you? And I'm like, well, I'm at my office down the road. Can you come by and see me? So I go in, and I left that meeting with a name for the place and pretty much the fact that it was going to happen.
Happening.
Wow.
So to that end, I needed some people who, I wouldn't say believed in it more than me, but it might have just been an idea that never went anywhere if I didn't have something kind of prodding me along, and at times making me think, why in the world have I done this? Like that's just part of any endeavor, but that's the real origin story of here is across the street at the old city hall and a meeting in the mayor's office.
I didn't know that. So talk more about community, because you just described how a mayor and community folks kind of helped you take the concept into creation. So how is the community very important to Little Nashville?
It's tremendously important because, and it's a marriage of different things. I kind of wrote in publicly on music, and I don't know that I could have just gone in and done this anywhere else. I don't know how viable of a business venture it is if it's just a guy saying I've got an idea to make some money. But I think knowing people here and being known and sort of having that integration into the community, I think a lot of people, when they heard that I was going to do this, it made sense to them. And I think it had some degree of credibility because at one point I was like a B-list local celebrity when it comes to music. Maybe C-list, but that people knew that I did this and knew that in fact, I think the Southern Illinoisan, the first time I played the Bluebird, there was a thing in it. And, we're still a small enough area that's a thing, that the local paper is going to pick up, local guy goes and does a thing, which is neat here. And without that kind of stuff along the way, I wouldn't have had the people in this community who believed in me pulling this off. I don't at all. So that to me is an encouragement, because one of our limitations is we don't live in a super populated area. And so the urge would be to go to Paducah or go to Cape Girardeau that has a college and a thriving downtown district and pull from more people. But here it made the most sense because it wasn't just an idea. It lived in the fabric of our community, both in the people that I knew and the people who knew what I had done, and it sort of fit.
Yeah.
So I heard you say that you were trying to create a hole in a wall. So sorry, you failed. This is not a hole in the wall by any measure. But any other hiccups along the way? I don't know. I heard there was this pandemic and...
But that honestly, it's weird. Without COVID, and that conversation not happening, this place probably wouldn't exist. But the usual things. I mean, this is a 120-year-old building. Construction just takes longer. I used to have a sign. I told you I do construction by day. I used to have a sign in my office that said the first start of any project is to grossly underestimate the amount of money and time it's going to take. And that definitely was true of this place. So hiccups with that, but when you've got a really solid picture in your mind of what you want the end to be, it makes those not feel as big a hiccups. I heard the founder of Dippin' Dots, for those of you who aren't listening chronologically, talk about really believing in what you're doing. And I think anybody's going to face those, but it's those that will wipe you out if you don't have a pretty deep belief in what you're doing. Because if you don't, and then it gets really, really hard, why are you hanging in there? And I think it's only the people who really deeply believe in what they're doing that they don't seem like as big a challenges. They just seem like success is kind of waiting to happen.
So for those who haven't been to Little Nashville, I'm not even sure we've kind of dove into what this is all about. So tell us a little bit about what people can experience when they come here.
So we exist to celebrate and cultivate the artist and songwriting community here in our backyard. Like that is the aiming point, and everything else serves to support that. I talk often. We have a Sunday night is an open mic night here, and a lot of times we'll have a big show on a Friday or a Saturday. We had Pam Tillis here. She's a member of the Grand Ole Opry. A writer friend of mine who wrote The Dance by Garth Brooks has played here. And we have a lot of people here, and then not as many people on Sunday night. But I tell everybody every Sunday night that is the lifeblood of this place, that we aren't just a venue, and if we ever lose Sunday nights, we lose who we are. And so at a very simple level, I said earlier, I drive around for travel sports stuff. And if you've probably heard me say this, but my kids who are into baseball, there's travel ball for them. Kids who are into basketball, there's AAU stuff all over the place. If you're 15 years old and want to do music, where do you go? And that was a question that I pondered a lot in the origins of this place, because we want that place to be here. And we've had high school students. It's funny because we'll have a 75-year-old songwriter up here, and then there's a girl who plays ukulele from Cobden. Goes to Cobden High School and comes and plays here, and you can see them back to back. But for everybody on the 75-year-old end or mine, because I'm not moving to Nashville. If I tomorrow strike gold and write the greatest song anybody's ever heard, I'm not uprooting my life. It's just, that's not how life works. But if I could help the next 17-year-old get her first co-writes in Nashville if she's moving there, I think everybody on my side of the timeline we'd love nothing more than to do that. And so trafficking in that and creating the authentic, real place for those things to happen and to celebrate that community, that is what Little Nashville is.
So you are an incubator for artists.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, songwriting in particular, but I really hope, and have got a couple of things that might be coming soon. I'd love for it to expand a bit. I don't come from the visual arts world, but we walk a lot of the same paths, and I'd love to see some of that. But what we are today is that songwriting community, trying to develop it here.
Yeah. What have you heard from your customers already? What experience are they walking away from, or what experience do you want them to walk away with?
I think something very, very unique, and everything else exists to support, cultivating this community. But I have to attract people to come in here, or else it turns out my bank doesn't love the idea as much as it loves me paying back the money that I owe them. So it all works hand in hand. But if we didn't have a great staff, if we didn't have a great menu that we do a great job with, if we didn't have great people like Brittany Schwarm, who is
talk because she's coming up on stage soon.
And Shay, who is back there, who makes the best old-fashioned in Southern Illinois. Those things have to be right to support the big thing. And what I know, I can't say I know, that's too authoritative. What I believe is we could strip away who we are, and I would bet you we would be the cool new bar in town. And we could probably own that for a year, maybe even two, until the next one opens up, and then the next one. And so to me, defining who we are, and then knowing that, and this is a beautiful thing for me, because like I said, everything exists to support the big thing. But some of my favorite nights, because we have a bar, but we aren't a bar, we're a venue. We have a kitchen that, like I said, if we didn't kill it in there, we wouldn't have people coming back as frequently. But there's no mistaking really who we are at our core. And I was going somewhere with this. Nights when I come in and the bar that has 15 seats is empty and all of the tables are full. Because you can sit there, but what we're designed to do and be is to really point to and celebrate a very particular thing. And that's what we aim at, and everything else lives to support it.
Well, I can tell you love what you're doing too.
I do. It's a labor of love for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know when we're going to transition.
Yeah, we are going to
Brittany,
transition
but
soon.
I definitely want to make sure that if there are things that we didn't ask you that you're like, I'm dying to say this.
No, any questions before I exit the stage from my Saluki brethren and sisterin?
I like that you have the open space for those who do music, to be able to have an opportunity to grow in the area. If it's their first time, then they can start off small and they can grow from there, and then wherever they go for it. So I do honor you for that, because there are many people who are in music. I grew up in music, but there are many who are, I want to learn to sing, but I don't know where to go. And you have an opportunity like, hey, You can have your mishaps, you can have all the above, you can learn all here, and just know that you started here because it's an open space for you to grow.
Well, thank you.
So I honor you for that.
And trying to find the people who, and I put myself on the backside of the timeline of, I just want to help that next person. I mean, I don't get anything out of it. It's not like we're doing guitar lessons here, but if somebody can come on a Sunday night and then connect with somebody else who's just walked a few more miles, that's what we want to do. We've had a couple from Sunday nights, our second night ever, second Sunday night, and I didn't know if it was going to fly or not, but we had this guy, he came, turned his hat backwards, has a harmonica, and just rips on the harmonica. And it was so cool. And then, and I've never seen anybody do this, he played, and then in his last song, he'd sing in between. And shortly thereafter, another guy who had played guitar, the next thing I know, they're playing together on a Sunday night, and now they're out playing in something that was formed here. There's a guy who's written songs forever, who's been coming to our Sunday nights, and he wrote a song about this place. And I actually, I didn't know what to do with it, like emotionally, because I wanted this place to be a place where art was celebrated and even generated, but it being the object of something was moving at just a really deep level. But so for all the big shows that you might see here, like that really is the mark that we're trying to hit.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Aaron
Yes.
Smith, founder of Little Nashville Cafe.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to do a switch in the guest hot seat, but who more appropriate to introduce this guest? Would you like to introduce Brittany?
Yes, and I'm going to take an additional 60 seconds as
Absolutely.
I do it. I think for those of you listening, I'm putting in quotations, success at business, it really is just being smart about what's right in front of you, and not trying to overcomplicate that. And so in every successful endeavor I've had, it's just been finding the right people. And in this case, our GM, I knew that I knew stuff about business, but I didn't know anything about a restaurant. Like that was not taught to me in business school. And so I actually had talked to a couple people from some hiring agencies, and what do I do here? And I remember where I was driving. It was in front of the junior high, and something reminded me that when I was teaching, thank you for doing that earlier, because now I can tie this whole thing in. There was a sophomore, I taught global studies, and there was a sophomore who had transferred in when I was teaching, and I had seen her over the years, time and time again, at a local restaurant that she basically was running for many, many years. So every time I'd go there, it was Mackey's Pizza, for those of you who are here local. And I'd see her, and I remembered, not to be, judging her academically 15 years later, but like, she was smart, super competent, seemed to be very dependable, like had everything in a checklist that I was talking to, a hiring agency about. And so I sent her a message on Facebook, totally out of the blue, and I said,
That's totally creepy, by the way, but
Yeah,
go ahead and go with it.
but here we are. It works.
Yeah.
So go for my advice to business students: go for the creepy if you need to, if it's gonna get you across the finish
Take a
line.
risk.
Yeah. And so this is one of my favorite parts of this story. So I send a message, and I'm like, look, I'm starting this thing. You might, like, if you have any interest in it, like, I think you'd be a really good fit for it. And she said she was in, and like, we hadn't talked dollars, cents, anything, and I was like, okay, I think I just hired a GM, and I don't even know what that means at this point. But she came with all of the knowledge that I was lacking in how this stuff functions. I know how the stage works, booking people, doing the music side, but needed someone, and the person was right in front of me.
It's awesome. So introduce.
Without further ado,
Ladies and gentlemen, the general manager of Little Nashville, Miss Brittany Schwarm.
come on down.
Come on up, Brittany.
Hello.
Hi, Brittany.
Hello.
How am I supposed to follow that?
Well, this is the real story. You get to say, he's already walked off the stage away from the microphone,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can give us the authentic, the truth.
Okay. All right.
First of all, thank you so much for opening the Little Nashville Cafe for us tonight.
You're
Yes.
more than welcome.
This is a very special place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
We love it.
yeah.
We do.
What's your favorite? Like, what makes you love it? What's your favorite parts about it?
I just love, just like, honestly, it's the music, and it's just a perk that everybody loves our menus and our drinks, and it's just like seeing, like, no, like again, there's nothing here for musicians, and so when people come here, the musicians like love it because you guys are actually paying attention to what they have to say, their own music. It's not like, oh, let's play Freebird. No, you actually get to listen to the raw emotion music and enjoy some great food and beverages while it happens. And so just to see like the sparks fly, I guess you could say, is what makes this awesome.
It's great.
Coming in every day.
And you
for
said
it.
earlier that your background, you're from this area. You're from small.
Well, no. So,
No, you're not.
I
Okay.
am originally from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
And I moved here when I was 15, January of '09. I was that rebellious 15-year-old that did not want to come.
Oh.
But my parents packed me in the van and you were coming. And so I moved here in '09, and so that would have put me a sophomore at Marion High School. And I graduated in 2011 and went on to play college basketball.
Wow.
And at William Penn in Iowa.
Okay.
And then I had fun for 2 years and decided like I wanted to come back and just hang out and travel till at least I was like 26. And so that put me at Mackey's. So when I was 15, I first started working at Mackey's as a dishwasher for a day, and then I moved to pizza maker for 2 years, and then kitchen for a year, and then I became a server and manager from 18 to 28. And that's when Aaron, creepy, messaged me and asked me if I would love to do this for him, and you can kind of get the gist that he doesn't know anything about this. And so it was kind of nice to take the challenge being thrown at me. Like, I loved working at Mackey's, but when you're someone that wants change and wants to be respected, and like whoever's above you doesn't want the change, then you're kind of just stuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just had a baby, got married, and I was just like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
And so Aaron took me aside and we started this. And so it was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So take us back to that Facebook message and like what were you thinking? Did you even know what you were getting into at the time, or tell us about that?
Well, so it's funny because I don't know. Yes, Aaron was my teacher, but he was also in music too. So like when you're 21, you went to Just One More. Aaron was the guy in the corner playing music. And so I just remembered he was one of my favorite teachers because even though, well, he wasn't creepy, but he was just like fun, you know? And so when he messaged me, it was just like, hey, what'd you say? Hey, got a question for you, meet at my office. And I was like, sure. And it wasn't bad because like Aaron is like actually a personal good person. And so when he asked me to do this, I knew he would value me as an employee. And so it was just so exciting to get started, and I knew he would be writing me checks and just, it'd be nice. I don't know. It's just, and so far we're 20 weeks in? And it's been great. Like, literally the best boss ever. Like, if you were ever scared to go on any endeavor or whatever, not with Aaron. Like, he treats us great. Like, if I want to fire somebody, I get to fire somebody. I don't have to worry about that backlash about this and that. You know, it's just, it's nice. Like, I have my own stand here. I don't know.
Supported.
Yes, it's nice. I don't know.
Awesome.
So before this role, one of my career paths, I was a commercial lender for almost 15 years. So I've seen a lot of bars and restaurants and venues kind of come and go. And on the food side, I feel is always the most dangerous because the inventory can kill you.
Yes.
So what's the most fun, like menu development versus like the back end? Like, what do you love and what drives you crazy, or you would like to delegate off?
Well, so one thing so when we were building this menu, I've never done it before, but we have a great Cisco rep that has worked hand in hand with us, and she's on call, and she's became our friend. And she helped us do this, but you have to realize, like, if we have pork on the menu, you have to make sure to utilize that in 4 to 6 different things to where we're not just throwing money away.
Right.
And so it's just like here it's hit or miss, because one day we could sell nothing but brisket French dips. And so we have a bunch of French dips. And then I keep on, I have some pork, but then we don't use it. So then next week I will dial down. But then you're a pork lover, so then you come this week. But that's like the same thing with bar. There's no catching up on it, but we found like a happy medium to where I know my inventory now, where it's a breeze. And again, we're only small time, so it's nice that it's this way, but we got it kind of dialed down to where I know what I need weekly, and I know during the holidays I'm gonna have to order more. If we do a buffet, I have to order more. And so it's all just going, kind of just riding it out, and we do get deliveries Tuesdays and Thursdays, so it's nice that if we need this and we didn't have it Tuesday, I know I can get it Thursday. And so it's just, so far we're so good, and so I have no complaints. Like, it's literally smooth.
Smooth, but I think there might be some challenges too. And we talked about the founder being the entrepreneur, but the person that makes it happen is the entrepreneur. And Aaron's already said, you are the person that made this happen.
Yes.
I mean, occasionally I walk over here, stick my head in the door to see how this place was coming along.
Yeah.
And one day you were unboxing, not one day, many days, you were unboxing how many tables and chairs?
We have 25 tables and 4 chairs with each. And so, and then so basically 124 chairs and 25 tables.
So at that point or any point in opening, did you say, what did I get myself into?
Yes. Because like Aaron, so Aaron is the business guy, so he's always just 24/7, and I'm kind of a control freak in that aspect too. And so like when we were doing this, construction did take a little long, but I didn't have a staff yet, because anybody that works and tries to hire anybody, trying to find people with the work ethic I do or you do, it's 1 in a million. There's no, I have no words for it. And it's just, I don't know. And so like I'm in here every day because I know it will get done, and I know it will be to my par. And so I honestly don't mind it. I'm like a worker and a doer. And so if I had to like sit down and not like just delegate, it's hard. I'd rather be in there.
Right.
Yeah.
But you said earlier, the role of the general manager is not always to be right here on the floor.
No.
So you've got to be able to trust the people that you're hiring.
Yes. But man, that table's dirty. I'm gonna go clean it, So, but I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you've learned a lot along the way, just in the past few months, and getting everything ready. But so you've learned a lot about the business and the side of all that. What have you learned about Brittany?
I kick some butt in here, that's for sure. I don't know. I've learned that I can push it to the limit. It is somewhat hard because, again, you know your strengths, and then you can put the best staff that you personally think is good, and they still will give you lip. They still will do this, they'll still do this. And they don't understand they can still ask for help. You know what I mean? Not just come at you guns a-blazing, and then you're just like, okay, hey, I am your boss, But I've learned to kind of just be patient and to hear what they're saying and just try to adapt and make changes to what we need to flow well as an establishment together, and to make sure we're still like family and we take care of each other. And you're not just my employees, boom, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Like I want when we first opened, I had to kick my employees out of here because we were having such a fun time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just, I just want to keep trying to get, as we keep moving on, I just want to keep building a team that will just, I don't know, it's just have a good time and know that you're valued and have fun and enjoy live music and everything.
Yeah, that's culture building.
Yeah.
Right?
So.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So you have a kiddo and a hubs.
Yep.
How do you balance all of that and this?
It's easy. When I leave here on Sunday, I don't come back here till Thursday. So I just enjoy, we own property on the west side of town, and I basically raised my 32-year-old husband and my 4-year-old.
I hear you.
And the way I keep them tamed, I just let them outside, and we just play. Don't come inside until dinner. Everybody's fed. We go to bed by 8:30, and yeah, we started again. And so, I mean, it's been pretty easy. And honestly, Aaron's been awesome to work with. And so it's not like when I was at Mackey's, I basically ran it, but I was there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 9, and then it's like, how to do this, how to do that, and then go home, and it was just not fun. Like, you started getting home getting angry with my husband, and I'm like, wow, I need to tone it down. But like, ever since I've like been here, sunshine and rainbows, baby. So it's nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I don't think we have more questions for you, but the audience may have questions. So we're going to pause and ask if anybody who is here tonight, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Brittany?
You guys better come in when we're open, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on back.
What's your favorite meal on the menu?
The smoked French dip. Honestly, everything's great. Like, I'm not trying to like boost their stuff, but everything's fantastic. But I had to like dial it down, you know. I can't be eating bread all the time. They didn't tell you right as you hit 30, things just start holding, you know. And so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you do have good food, great drinks, and great music here too.
Yeah.
And I can see why. You do a great job.
Well, thank
I appreciate
you.
that very much. So Brittany Swarm, General Manager of the Little Nashville Cafe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I want to thank all of the people that showed up tonight for our live audience, Little Nashville Cafe, broadcast of Small Town Big Business. I want to thank everyone who supported Small Town Big Business by listening or watching to our episodes, over 50 episodes now. We want to thank our sponsors for making the Small Town Big Business podcast possible, and that includes Arcadia Wealth Group, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, the Swinford Media Group, and Watermark Auto Group Foundation, and of course Union Street Arts. If you want to start a podcast, reach out to Luke O'Neill. He is fantastic.
Or for any other video or production needs.
Exactly. Wedding photography and everything.
Yeah.
Speaking of needs, we need you to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, Spotify, Podbean, Apple. We don't care where you listen to us. Just make sure you hit subscribe and share us, like us, rate us, review us, all of those good things. And if you want to see the video version, that's on YouTube.
I'm Deb Barnett with Southern Illinois Now. You can find us at southernillinoisnow.org. You can also find us on our social media platforms.
And I'm Russell Williams. I'm director of EThOs. We're a small business incubator, co-working spaces, training and development. And you can contact me at russell@watermarkethos.org.
And I'm Jennifer Olson, Director of Business Development for the City of Marion, and you can find me practically next door to EThOs at our new City Hall at 350 Tower Square Plaza. And if you don't want to just do a walk-in, you can get my contact information on LinkedIn.
That's it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a good night.
Great day.